now
Hello, my
be
name is Ron
recorded.
Sallow with MRW Financial Brokerage. I manage the annuity and long-term care divisions here in MRW. I have over 30 years experience specializing in long-term care. I want to thank you for taking the time to learn about some of these tools that we have to help simplify the conversation between you and your clients when it comes to long-term care. What we're going to cover today is what we call our wildcard brochure and fact finder. We have a second companion one to this that's women in long-term care. The presentation and the questions that we ask are exactly the same. It's just we branded it different, so it's more appropriate for a female advisor talking to a couple or a female client. In my 30 years of experience, what I've learned is it's typically the women that drive this conversation. They're the ones that see their friends, their counterparts, their family members taking care of their husbands. We usually get 6 or 8 first, spending down assets on their husband, and it's starting to affect their lifestyle, and they're starting to worry that they may outlive their life savings. But whether you use that women in long-term care brochure and fact finder or this wild card, it's the same presentation, and this training video is going to suffice for both. What is the wild card in your financial and estate plans? Well, long-term care is an unexpected, for many people, immediate event that affects the entire family. Okay, and what I mean by that is, I'd gotten it wrong for years. Long-term care is not an asset issue. It's a cash flow issue. How are we going to generate $60,000 plus a year of additional cash flow on a moment's notice and do that tax efficiently? We'll talk about the taxes a little bit when we talk about the different assets and what the problems are with it. But long-term care for most people is the largest unfunded financial risk that can adversely affect retirement plans, investment and estate plans, and goals of the entire family. Now, we're going to start by asking several questions of our prospects. And these questions in our appointment, a lot of the sale is made, a lot of the planning is made here in the fact find. So question number 1, if you were a family member required long-term care, where would you like to receive it? And we're looking for 2 answers here. Where geographically, in what state? I'm located down here in Florida. We have a lot of transplants. They may want to go back up to Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, New York, New Jersey to receive care, and the costs vary by state. Look at the cost in Alaska for home care versus the cost in Alabama, $55,000 versus $90,000. Okay, so let's assume the client tells me, yeah, I want to stay here, I want to receive care in Florida. The second part of this question that we're looking for an answer is, okay, what setting would you like to receive care? Would you like to receive care in your own home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home? The vast majority of clients are going to say, we really like to receive care in our own home. And in your own home, in the state of Florida, we'll zoom in here, we're looking at $64,240 a year for care. Now that is for an 8-hour shift, 5 days a week. And I know 8-hour shift, 5 days a week. What about the other 16 hours a day? What about the other 2 days a week that aren't covered? Well, that's where that spouse is there to help provide care. And what I really like to plan about, because when it gets to the point where the spouse can't provide that care, that's when we look at going from home health care into the assisted living facility, which is a little bit less. It's about $56,000 a year. That's where I found that the bulk of care is going to be provided. In other words, that's where the years of care are provided. They're not provided, usually you don't spend years in a nursing home with daily skilled care at a rate of $118,000 a year. That's usually more end-of-life care where hospice is. So I like to plan around that home care assisted living price. So we're talking about a rate of $64,240 a year. $64,240. They said they'd like to receive care in their own home. They want to stay in their own home as long as possible. Now let's talk about years of care. Did you know for a male over age 65, there's actually a 70% chance that male is going to need care. And for a male, on average, they need professional care for 2.2 years. For a female over age 65, there's the same 70% chance they're going to need care. But on average, the female needs it for 3.7 years. Why the longer time for the female? Well, the primary reason is us men tend to get sick first, we pass away first. In the early stages of care, our wives are there to take care of us informally. But once we're gone and they're leaving alone, they're requiring formal paid care much earlier in the care cycle than I was as a couple. Now, did you know if there's a 70% chance I need care and a 70% chance my wife needs care, statistically what that means is there's actually a 49% chance that we're both going to need care. So nearly half of all couples are both going to require care, and that average with the 3.7 and the 2.2 years combined is 5.9 years. So I like to take the $64,240 times 5.9 years equals $379,016. Just if we need the average cost of care. Now, I always want to talk to the client at this point, what's been your experience in your family? Because if it's a cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's disease, senility, if it's a Parkinson's disease and ALS, that's where those numbers really increase in the number of years of care. In fact, if you'd like, I can send you out a flyer that shows ongoing claims that have been 15, 16 years where people have received $2.5 million plus out of long-term care policies. So the question is, based on your total long-term care need of $379,016, how are we going to fund that? Well, a lot of times when a parent starts talking to a child about long-term care, typically the daughter, because typically females provide care, 66% of all caregivers are female, they say, don't worry, mom, don't worry, dad, I'll take care of you. You can move in with us. Now, they're probably busy raising their children, a lot of two-income earning households now. Did you know, as soon as an informal caregiver starts providing unpaid care, they're giving up nearly $660,000 of average lifetime income. 600. Now, how does that happen? Well, they may be passing up promotions at work, cutting down hours, even leaving a job. Possibly they're retiring early, starting their Social Security income at an earlier age for less money for the rest of their life. They're giving up 401k contributions or continued vesting in their defined benefit pension plan. All of those impacts together, on average, that informal caregiver is giving up $660,000. You want to point that out to the parents. I'm sure when your daughter says, yeah, I'm going to take care of you, that's your daughter saying, yes, I love you. The way you say I love you back is you make sure your daughter doesn't have to give up $660,000 of income over her life. So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we have to fund $379,016, and that's just on average. Someone needs care today, unfortunately. You've got to write a check to the home health care agency for $5,000 to assist that care. Where are you getting that money from first? Of course, they're typically going to say the bank. Okay, in the bank, in your CDs, your money markets, your checking account, approximately how much money do you have in there? We have approximately $50,000 in there. All right, that's great. And that's something that you're paying income taxes all along. There isn't any tax consequence for you to use that $50,000. Of course, if you have that $50,000 and you pass it on to your beneficiaries, they also get it income tax free because taxes are paid all along. But Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, that $50,000, that's going to last less than 1 year at a rate of $64,000 a year. So when that money's gone, well, let me ask you one other question. If you were to liquidate that $50,000 on Mr. Smith's care, how is that going to affect Mrs. Smith's income? Oh, it's not. That's just sort of an emergency fund there. Okay. But again, it's still going to last less than a year. What are you going to move on to next? Well, we also have about $300,000 in qualified money in our IRAs. Okay, that's great. And that you start taking You get through that first $50,000, and if we pull out an additional $65,000 of qualified money on top of already what you're spending to fund that home health care, not only is that taxable income, but that may require you to pay more income taxes on your Social Security. Some people pay 0%, some people pay 50%, some people pay 85%. That could push you up to where you're paying income taxes on 85% of your Social Security. Not only that, there's a Medicare surcharge that starts kicking in as your income increases. And on top of that, if your income gets too high, you could be subject to a 3.8% excise tax. That excise tax, that Medicare surcharge, and that additional Social Security taxes is something that could all be avoided. So while, yeah, I understand that IRA or 401k, it may not be the most tax efficient way to fund care. And that's what we want to find out is, what's the most tax efficient way to plan for your care? Well, we don't have any stocks and bonds, okay? We don't own any more life insurance at this point, okay? We do have about $200,000 in mutual funds, okay? And those mutual funds, have they grown in value? Yeah, they've grown in value. So there's a capital gains tax due when you liquidate those mutual funds. And guess what? That capital gains tax would be completely avoided if you use it, if you pass that on to your beneficiaries. They receive a free step-up basis. That capital gains tax is never paid. And we also have $180,000 in non-qualified annuity that we purchased back in 2006. So we have about a total of 200, 300, 550, 650, about $730,000, which again is above the $379,000. But like I said, long-term care is not an asset problem. It's a cash flow problem. You said you can liquidate that bank asset without affecting your spouse's lifestyle. Could you liquidate all of these mutual funds without expecting your spouse's lifestyle? Say, no, we really can't do that because we're relying on income from that, okay? Could you liquidate your IRA and 401k completely without affecting a spouse's lifestyle? No, we can't do that because we're taking money, we're taking RMDs out of that, and we're spending that. Okay, what about this annuity? Well, this annuity right now, we aren't touching it. So yeah, that's another possible funding source. And we want to sort of have them earmark funding sources. When you get this information back to me, I'm going to let you know what's most tax efficient and what's not. By the way, in every one of my emails, if you look down at the bottom of the email, you'll see a link to my calendar where you can book a time that we can talk to go over this, or if you want, I can participate virtually with you and your client as well. You may just introduce me as your product specialist when it comes to long-term care planning, and I can drive the conversation. So question number 3, if I could show you a better way to use that money, is that something you'd be more interested in looking at? In other words, if we could take that annuity, that $180,000, and turn it into a much larger long-term care bucket that is income tax free, is that something you'd like to see? And this would pay for care in your own home, pay for care at an adult daycare, it'd pay for care at an assisted living facility, and of course that daily skilled nursing care as well. So it's going to provide all levels of care. We can do this transaction completely income tax free. Well, this is what's important to understand. It's not your money that allows you to get this, it's your health. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I do need some health information from you. What are your dates of birth? You'll see a basic health planning screening questionnaire. If they can answer no to all of these questions, we pretty much have a revenue generating product that can create leverage for them when it comes to long-term care. If they answer yes to some of them, it's going to become a little dicier, but there may be still some products available. And we do ask some additional health information because, of course, the healthier they are, the more products that are available to them. We also want to find out what their monthly income is. Social Security, gross wages, and pension, net income, and then other investment income that's coming in? And do they rely on their IRA for living expenses? Yes or no? Because there are some solutions we can use for qualified money. So let's talk about next steps. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'd like to set up an appointment with you, the date and time, and here's why. I'm going to take all this information, your health information, your asset information, where you'd like to receive care, that cost information, and I'm going to send that over to my back office. In my back office, we have a specialist that's been specializing in long-term care planning for 30 years now. That's me, of course. And he's going to take, did you know that there are 2,000 insurance companies licensed in the United States? And of that, there's about 200 that have an A- rating or better. There's about 100 of those that have been in business for 100 plus years, and about 30 of those that have a long-term care ride rate product that will create leverage and the benefits exactly when you need it. He's going to narrow it down to 3 finalists with a recommendation of which product makes the most sense for your particular situation. Because there truly isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. We need to look at their ages. We need to look at their health. We want to see what the funding vehicle is. Maybe they want to fund with an annual premium payment rather than a lump sum. Maybe they want to fund with qualified money, with non-qualified money, with an existing life insurance policy, with an existing annuity. You know, we want to take a look at all of the different options, narrow it down to 3 finalists with possibly different funding methods, and then that way the client can select which one is most appropriate for them. And we're going to review our findings at this next meeting, and this is important. No money is going to exchange hands at this next meeting. Our goal is simply to see if these options make sense for you, and if they do, then we'll discuss how we submit your health information to the insurance company to make sure you can qualify for the benefits. In other words, we're going to get an application. We can do all of these applications COD, no money down. Does all that make sense to you? Okay, and I just need the date and the time for our next meeting so I can get that over to our back office and they know when to have it available. And if you pull up your email, my email link right then, you can check the date and times that I'm available. So if you would like, you know, I'll prepare the product planning solutions. I'll prepare a report showing why these products, you know, the leverage that these products create. We can have a coaching session about that particular client, or I can participate virtually like this. We have all the technology here. I can set up the meeting. If you have an iPad, they have a computer. Even if you just have a phone, they can see me. They can see what I'm covering. You have the reports that you can pull it out and go through them, and I can drive that planning meeting if you'd like. Once again, my name is Tom Vasallo with MRW Financial Brokerage. I really appreciate you taking the time on how you use this planning tool for that initial meeting. If you do have any questions, please feel free to give me a call at 813-875-6331. Thank you and have a great day.